everyone. Welcome back to English Champion. On this episode, I want to cover a couple of higher education topics today. One, an article I recently saw, the headline that really caught my eye, and another little piece of data, some statistics that I want to share with you. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, again, not only did they catch my eye and I immediately had some reactions to it, but these are going to tie into a bigger discussion I'm going to have next week. I've been thinking about where higher ed has been and where it's going. And I have some ideas that I think are worth sharing. And I think some people might find them valuable, but it'll offer a new perspective on how we think of education. So that'll be coming next week. And so these ideas that I'm going to discuss here today tie into those a little bit. So I'm introducing a few concepts here that I will flesh out more thoroughly next week. So please come back next week for that very important episode. Okay, so first, let's look at this article I came across the other day. The headline is, Young Adults Are Unprepared for Adult Life. A college course is helping them get ready. So I thought, oh, okay, we need a college course to specifically help students with adulthood. All right, let's find out what this is. So here's how it starts. For Olivia Pfeiffer, graduating from college felt like jumping off a cliff. She'd leave behind the familiar rhythms of structured classes, campus life, and a built-in community that infused her life with consistency and stability. I had so many fears: loneliness, drifting, not finding something that I was passionate about. Pfeiffer, a 24-year-old who lives in Philadelphia, told me. The idea of going from college to a traditional 9-to-5 was a daunting topic. College to a job was daunting. The thing that all of us have been doing this whole time. For some reason, as a 24-year-old, living in a big city, you'd think you'd kind of be used to how the world works. No, it's too daunting. It's like, okay, well, what is she going to do about this? In her senior year, she signed up for, quote, Shaping an Adult Life, a course that is different from the typical academic offerings at Villanova University. It's part of a broader shaping initiative within the honors program. Honors. Let me tell you about this honors here in a second. That helps college students wrestle with deeper questions about purpose, professional fulfillment, and building relationships, rather than just preparing for a career. Okay, let me just cover that one more time, okay? That this is a special program in an honors program at this university that wrestles with deeper questions about purpose, professional fulfillment, and building relationships, not just preparing for a career. Sounds like what every single traditional liberal arts institution should already be doing. Why is this a special course in a special honors program when purpose, fulfillment, relationships, not just career, is what the traditional liberal arts have always supposedly been doing? This doesn't make any sense. So now, as you're going to see in this very next sentence, what's happening is you students said, we don't really like the traditional liberal arts. I don't need to know about history. I don't need to read philosophy. Just give me my job training. And so the universities have gone, okay, well, let's prepare you for your career because that's what you say you want. And now all these students are going, but I don't know anything about life. I need something more than just job training. Yeah, no kidding. That's what we've been trying to tell you since the beginning of the university. Okay, like forever. That's what we've been telling you students. And now we've gone full circle where we now have to incorporate a special class at a special program that now goes back to teaching you the very things that we should have been teaching you all along. Okay. Talk about like misunderstanding what college was supposed to be. Here's what she said. You spend so much time in college figuring out what you're going to do for a job as the most important thing. Yeah, that's what you said you wanted. That's what everyone who complains about college says. Like, I don't need to take all these extra classes. Just tell me what I need for my major so I can go get my job. That's what the schools did. And now you're complaining that focusing on our job is not always the most important thing. Yep, those of us in the humanities have been telling you that forever. You should have listened. This girl has taken 2 previous shaping courses on navigating college and work life. Like, why this is, a course that someone has to pay for is insane to me. Like, these are things you should do sort of like in a freshman orientation. This is what you do during your first week at college, where you start laying the groundwork for getting yourself organized, again, navigating college life, and starting to think about what your life in your career is going to look like. This is freshman level stuff. Again, this doesn't even need to be a class. This can just be like a like an uncredited seminar where students go during, again, orientation week or something. The fact that this is now accredited class in an honors program is mind blowing to me. This is nuts. While she felt confident academically, questions like, how do I spend free time? And how do I build meaningful friendships and romantic relationships felt far murkier. These are not the questions that are given the care and attention. They are in humanities. What do you think my literature courses are about? What do you think a philosophy class is about? What do you think, history and theology talk about? Yeah, we already talk about this stuff. You just didn't want it. And now you realize how empty your life is and you go, oh gosh, I really need some answers to these questions. No kidding. Yeah. That question, how do I spend free time? I mean, can you imagine going back in time to people, during the Depression or during the factory period of industrialization or whatever, and going, gosh, my life is so tough. I just don't know how to spend my free time. They would go, what are you talking about? I just worked 16 hours straight in a factory. I just worked 16 hours straight plowing my field in the dust, and there probably won't even be any crops this year. And you're asking me about your free time? And you need a college course to teach you how to spend your free time? Bananas. You would never, like, these young people today, like, I just don't even know what other people from other generations would say about this. I'm not even that old yet. Gen X. I'm 2 generations separated from these Gen Z people. And like, you're a different species. I don't even know what you're talking about. How do you spend your free time? What's wrong with you? This is nuts. So the article kind of diverts away from academia a little bit. It gets into romantic relationships, which I'll come back to shortly. It gets into mental health struggles, especially for people in their 20s. They're at a mental health low point, apparently. And this is a problem that Villanova program seeks to address. So now we'll get a little bit of input from the professor. When Anna Moreland, professor of humanities and theology at the Pennsylvania University, began teaching in the Shaping Initiative course 6 years ago, she found it was like putting my finger on a raw nerve in the students' lives. Like, you're just now finding this raw nerve that kids don't know anything. And so it's up to us to guide them through these life, to the wisdom of life. Like, you're just now realizing that? All right. Her students were bright, ambitious, and in many ways over-prepared. Really? Okay. Except when it came to figuring out who they were and what they wanted beyond their resumes. Research backs up this sense of unease. A 2024 study found that while most among the Gen Z generation are optimistic about their future, only 51% feel prepared for it. Okay, so this is something else that's just crazy. You now have access, literally access to anything in the world you want. Anything you want. Any piece of information is at your fingertips. Any product you want to buy can arrive at your doorstep today. Any food you want to try can be delivered to your house right now. Anything you want is available for the first time in history, for the last 25 years. And yet, only 51% feel prepared for it. So half of all of young people feel unprepared. How in the world are you unprepared when you have access to everything? This should be the most prepared generation who's ever lived, because you can get anything you want. So whatever you think you want, you can start preparing for it. You need to learn some skill. Well, there's a million YouTube videos. There's people everywhere you can go talk to. You can get advice online through a Reddit forum. Like, you can get information anywhere. You need knowledge? Same thing. You need connections? Social media and the internet and everything else gives you all the connections you could ever possibly want. What exactly are you missing that makes you feel so unprepared? In previous generations, there was, a very real sense of being not prepared. I imagine those 18-year-old boys who were drafted to go have to fight Nazis were probably pretty unprepared too, don't you think? Like, you sitting around in, like, the overabundance of 21st century America and going, gosh, I'm just unprepared. What in the world else do you think you need? Like, take some initiative, go grab what you want, and then start pursuing that path. It's so weird that young people today have this skewed version of reality that you can look at all the opportunities in the world around you and go, I just don't know what to do. I'm just so unprepared for it. Unprepared. You've had 13 years of publicly funded, free education. You've now had 4 years of higher education with, again, access to some of the smartest people in the country, access to all the technology you could ever dream of. Everything is at your fingertips. And still, after all that, you go, gosh, I'm just too unprepared. It's so strange. I don't understand it. The professor continues, she sees a generation chasing professional success, but struggling to find fulfillment in their work, build meaningful relationships, and carve out leisure time. And the young people know they're struggling. More than anything, she says, they are eager for guidance. They're lost in the wilderness without a map, and their friends are as lost as they are. Guidance. Really? Not enough guidance? Again, you have access to everyone in the world through your computer or your phone. You can get guidance from anyone. More importantly than that, though, these universities bend over backwards providing funding and staffing to give you guidance. One, that's what professors are for. So we offer guidance all the time. You just don't want to listen usually. But then beyond that, there's the staff where there's career counselors. There's the mental health counselors. There's, your academic counselors helping you navigate all this stuff. There's guidance literally all around you when you're at a college campus. Not only in your college community, but again, through the technology that's available, you can get any piece of information you want. And you still don't have, you're lost in the wilderness. You're lost, really. Again, have some perspective here. Put yourself back in the shoes of someone in the 1930s, all right? Where the Dust Bowl just swept through the western part of the country. You don't have any food. There's no work. You have nothing. Yeah, that's called being lost in the wilderness. You sitting on your laptop in your cushy air-conditioned classroom with PhD people all around you and access to the smartest people in all of history through the internet is not lost in the wilderness. Give me a break. Again, this is what your tuition dollars go to. Don't you know that when you complain about tuition, some of that, not all of it, but some of it is going toward providing these services for you. Are you not using them? If they're not good at providing the service, okay, we can have that conversation. Maybe they need to be fired and replaced with better people, but maybe you're not using them. Or if you do talk to them, you don't listen, but there's guidance all around you. In fact, some of us would say there's too much guidance. Like how you can think you're lost in the wilderness with no guidance doesn't make any sense. Again, it's going to drift a little bit here, but I will touch on one thing. Subtitle or heading, why are young adults struggling? We've long known that young people are struggling, but recent studies bring into focus just how significant the problem is. A 2024 study highlights a troubling decline in student engagement, a key predictor of future confidence. Now, I really don't like the word engagement. Engagement doesn't mean learning. It's a very vague word. Like, how do you actually know if someone's engaged or not? I can have students be engaged, but completely not remember anything and flunk their classes. So what exactly is engagement? I'll just assume engagement means caring. Like you care about what you're doing. You're actually involved in your own life and in your own classes, your own work. And that means you're engaged. So that's what I'll go with. But the data shows engagement has dropped since 2023, and the impact extends into adulthood. Highly engaged students are 4 times more likely to strongly believe in their future success and 10 times more likely to feel prepared for adulthood. All right, so yeah, what do you know? Caring about stuff, actually taking the initiative to put forth the effort, to go talk to your teachers, to study really hard, to read constantly, to go learn from all the people who are on campus advising you. What do you know? They're more prepared for adulthood. They have more confidence. Surprise. Like we need research to tell us this, but this is the problem. Young people don't do that stuff. They're not engaged. They don't care. They just show up and go, give me my B+, please. Let me get out of here. And then now they're lost because they haven't used any of these things. Here's the key line, though. Teachers play a crucial role, with 60% of students citing engaging instruction as a defining factor in their sense of readiness. Oh, so it's not the vice president of yada yada that's the most important person on campus. Well, you could have fooled those of us who are teachers because they're making $250,000 a year. Meanwhile, the teachers who even the data show are the most important factor in helping students be engaged and be ready for their future, well, we're paid way less than the administrators. So if this is a problem at universities, seems like here's one way to fix it. Make your teachers more valuable, because after all, they are more valuable. So you can keep implementing all these programs and keep hiring all these ridiculous administrators to keep adding these, again, additional programs and resources and all this stuff. When what's the biggest factor? Good teachers. Yeah, get good teachers and pay them properly, and stop paying administrators that no one cares about. No one cares. No one comes to a university because of the administrator. No one cares. No one comes to Villanova because, oh, I really love their vice president of alumni relations. Like, no one cares about you. They care about teachers. And yet teachers are down here, administrators are up here. Solve that problem, and this would probably be a little more helpful. Again, it kind of drifts more anxiety, depression, loneliness, yada, yada. Relationship stuff. They're not dating as much as they used to. In fact, they feel quite lonely. I'll come back to the dating thing here in a second. Again, the article really jumps around a lot. So now it's back to some career choice stuff. After finishing college, the student, Pfeiffer, who studied economics and sustainability at Villanova, received a job offer from a prestigious New York consulting firm. Amazing. Like, you're so scared of the world, and yet your first opportunity out of college is a prestigious New York consulting firm? Like, whoa, what are you so scared of? Like, that sounds amazing. I wish I would have had a prestigious New York consulting firm give me an opportunity right out of school. Instead, I had to go, I was teaching fifth grade in the ghetto and making $29,000 a year. Like, yeah, your life is so rough. Amazing. Here's her point, though. On paper, it was the perfect next step, but the job did not align with Pfeiffer's passion for sustainability. Instead of settling, Pfeiffer made the difficult choice to hold out for something that felt right. Okay, so a little tricky, because part of what young people need to do is they need to get on the ladder in order to start moving up. You got to be very careful of holding out for the perfect position. Now, yes, you need to find something that aligns with your values. You don't want to join a company that you don't believe in the values that they're doing, or they're doing something shady or something like that. But like, I'm not saying jump at the very first thing, but be very careful of saying, well, I'm going to hold out until I get exactly what I want. One, that might never come. And two, there's all sorts of jobs out there that don't look like they're what you want at first, but once you get in it and you learn it and you get a little more autonomy, you can kind of make it what you want. That's part of what being part of a good company is they let you grow and you get to take more responsibility. And so the job you thought you wouldn't like ends up being maybe the best option for you. So I understand her point that you don't want to necessarily just jump at the very first thing just because you can, but be very careful of turning stuff down too, because you never know when a good opportunity is going to come along, and you got bills to pay. Too many students arrive at college with their career paths already set in stone, leaving little room for exploration, the professor told me. They were good at math in the 10th grade, and all of a sudden they're 20 and they're almost an engineer. And while that might work for some people, for others, that's just too early to commit to a lifelong career. Yeah, that's what the liberal arts university is for. When you don't know exactly what you want and you want to try a variety of things and figure out who you are and what you like and the type of career goals you have and all that stuff. Yeah, that's what we traditional liberal arts people have been saying. And yet the schools have gone the other direction. Why? Because the students have said they wanted that. So it's like when you follow the trends of what young people think they want, this is the nightmare that happens, because they don't know what they want. And now you've adjusted part of your mission, perhaps, or some of your curriculum, or whatever money you've devoted to these things, because you're like, well, we got to give the kids what they want. Well, the kids don't know what they want. And in fact, turns out some of these kids wanted the very thing you already had, but got rid of. And so now you're having to restart it from the beginning. Dumb. Our job as universities is to provide students what we think is best for them, because we're the experts. We've done all this. We've studied for years and years and years. We know what the best answers are. And if we don't, we're willing to research, because that's part of what we also do, what new answers could be. Well, the young people don't know any of that stuff. So it's our job to provide for them a place to explore these things under our guidance. And now that's exactly what the students say they want. But that's what you got rid of before. So now we're just going in a big circle and wasting a bunch of time. Many young adults, article continues, are racing to check off the next milestone, but in the process they're buckling under immense pressure. Family expectations, financial anxieties, staggering costs of tuition and debt make adulthood feel like a high stakes and intimidating game. Yeah, I understand that. I'm the biggest advocate of lowering tuition. It's too high. It should not be so expensive for kids to get educated if they want. You have to want the right type of education, though. There's a opposing side to that, which I'll talk about later. Okay, back to the leisure stuff. Even the idea of leisure and rest feels wasteful in a culture that upholds productivity and efficiency as foundational values. Again, not traditionally. The productivity and efficiency, that's a very recent thing. Those of us who are Aristotelians would disagree with you. Those are good. Yes, we should be productive and efficient and useful and all that stuff, but there's other foundational values. Pfeiffer admits, the student, to internalizing the binary of work as good and leisure as bad, saying there was this constant pressure to always be progressing. A study of more than 100 undergraduates at Ohio University found that those who viewed leisure as productive didn't actually enjoy their free time any more than those who didn't see it that way. Leisure, the professor argues, isn't just about putting down your phone, it's about reclaiming your sense of joy and identity. So yeah, this is something that, again, when you have a life of flourishing idea, an Aristotelian version of the good life, this is how you think of leisure. You don't think of like a hindrance to your work life. Now, I will admit there are many days where I just lay on the couch and watch a golf tournament because I've had a rough week. I'm tired. I just want to watch, or Saturday afternoon of 4 football games, and I don't do anything but sit there and watch football. There are those days, and that's leisure. But a lot of times when I'm pursuing leisure, like I'm not doing work, I'm not trying to earn my income or anything like that. My leisure time is my wife and I are out for a hike or a bike ride, or I'm out playing golf, either with her or with some buddies. I play piano and guitar. I write music when I can. Like, these are things I do for leisure too, but they're not sitting on the couch watching a screen either. And they're not productive toward my career. This is, again, part of the good life, the flourishing life. Like, I want to improve myself, and improving myself even through a leisure activity is still enjoyable. Again, it's not the 9 to 5. I'm not doing it because I'm trying to make money off it. I'm just doing it because it's fun for me, and I like getting better at stuff. I like going hiking because I want to get my body in better shape. I like going to the gym because I like working out. I like playing music because it's kind of relaxing, but also like it pokes a creativity bug in me. Like, I like creating stuff. I like playing golf because, yeah, I get to enjoy the outside, and it's a slow-paced game that my body can handle now that I'm older. But also, I like getting better. I like practicing. I like seeing that I can improve my score each time I go out if I really work hard. Like, your leisure isn't just, laying on the couch and scrolling through TikTok and going, well, gosh, this is my leisure time, but I also don't feel very productive. Yeah, because that's bad leisure time. You could be doing so much more with your leisure time. Do something fun, but that also makes you a better person. Again, playing music or writing makes me a better person. Getting my body in shape makes me a better person. Working on a new skill or a new hobby makes me a better person. Like, you can do both. It's a different version of productivity because it's not about my job, but it's also not leisure where I'm just laying around. That's, again, when you have a more humanities oriented view of the world, this is who you become. You become a person who can place things in a proper perspective where you go, yeah, I don't need to be doing work all the time. I don't need this like hustle culture. I got to grind every single second. Like, yeah, I don't need to do that. But I also don't need to be someone who just loafs in bed all day and getting my leisure time because I need to rest and I need work-life balance. No, that's stupid. Yeah, there's times where you can just lounge and relax, but other times you should be doing something that's leisurely, but that's also important for your self-growth and self-improvement. And so, again, these are things that when you study the humanities or even some of the other liberal arts, you can learn that. But again, you young people said you didn't care about that. all you wanted was job training. And so that's what these schools gave you. And now you're having this identity crisis because you don't even know what you like and you don't even know how to spend free time. I mean, like, yeah, you're not even a human being because you didn't want to be. We tried to help you become one and you didn't want it. So now this is what you get. So, now she's realizing this, or these students are, later, which I guess is good, better than never. But yeah, man, we tried to help you. Many young adults, the professor found, struggle with simply being alone with their thoughts. In her class, she introduces ideas like cultivating an interior garden. No idea what that means. Incorporating Sabbath practices, wise, and doing things purely for enjoyment's sake, not because they look good on a resume. Yeah, again, I do all those things because I enjoy them and has no effect on my career. But again, I'm not just sitting alone with my thoughts, though I do that from time to time, especially when I'm thinking about research or, there's a new project I want to try out and I'm kind of brainstorming. I mean, being alone with your thoughts is important, but yeah, people need to be taught how to have leisure now. What is this world coming to? So it gets into some of the other digital stuff, especially pertaining to dating. They're petrified of each other. And that leads to this, absolutely hilarious section in this article regarding dating. To push students outside their comfort zones, the professor assigns a challenge. Ask someone out on a date. Not through an app or a text, but in person, a real invitation. All right, so young people have to be incentivized in a class to go on a date. Again, imagine people from all other times in history going, what's wrong with you people? You don't even know how to just ask someone out for coffee or dinner or whatever? Like, you can't do that? The funniest part is this next line. The exercise, this assignment, was inspired by Boston College philosophy professor Carrie Cronin, who came up with the idea after realizing that many of her students were graduating without ever having been on a single date. Let's just revisit this idea that the assignment was inspired by, and she came up with the idea as if human beings haven't been courting one another since the beginning of human beings. Oh, what an inspired idea. You should go ask someone out on a date if you like them. Yeah, amazing. Again, any other time period in history, people would look at you and go, are you even a human being? Do you even know how to live in this world? That, look, if you want to have a family someday, if you want to mate and a partner and an opportunity to reproduce and have children and live a life with someone you care about, yeah, you need to go up to them and say, hi, how are you? Would you like to grab a cup of coffee sometime? I mean, they would look at you like the humans are going to go extinct. If you're so stupid and weak that you can't go talk to a person when your very genetics rely on it, they would go, yeah, it looks like the human race is going to come to an end soon. Yeah, that's what's wrong with these young people. The other thing, and the fact that inspired by, like someone had to imagine, oh, this could be a class assignment. This is something that parents should be teaching their kids or their friends, someone else. Like, why is this in school? Why is this a credit in a class? I don't understand this. The other thing that I don't understand is, how is this graded exactly? Because I've been in situations where there were people in my vicinity I had no interest in dating. Not because I couldn't talk to them, it's just because I wasn't attracted to them. I didn't want to, they were annoying in some way, whatever it was. They just weren't people I wanted to build a dating relationship with. And I'm sure they felt that way about me. So what if I'm in a situation where I'm like, yeah, there's no one around here I want to date. I'm not attracted to any of these people. So like, that kind of defeats the whole point. What are you going to give me an F because I don't actually want to be on a date with these people? That doesn't seem very fair. So what's the grading? What's the rubric like for asking someone out on a date as a class assignment? The fact that we have to teach 20-year-olds how to get along in basic male-female relationships, just being friendly with someone and maybe sharing a meal and maybe developing a longer relationship. The fact that we have to teach that is bananas. So towards the end of the article, it kind of goes into a little bit of parenting where modeling what adulthood looks like. Yeah, again, like this should all have been done by parents. The fact that at the college level, we have to be doing things that parents should have done already is so weird. I don't understand it. As when kids are younger, again, there are things that should only be done by parents in the home. But you can kind of understand how these things come up at school too, because like the kids they're kind of going through all of this at the same time. And so, you know, they don't really know a lot because they're only, 8 years old or something. And so they maybe haven't fully been taught at home yet or modeled something, but then they're also starting to hear about some of it at school. Maybe it's something about work, careers. And so like their parents haven't necessarily talked to them very seriously about careers yet because they're only 8 years old. But maybe at school they're starting to talk about, people have jobs and you got to make money and, people can switch careers. Like they're starting to hear these ideas. And so they're happening at the same time at the house, in the household and at school. And so it's kind of understandable why some of those things get talked about. And teachers need to impart some of that wisdom at school. Again, there are certain things that only parents should talk about, never teachers. But, there's some overlap, of course. But by the time you're an adult, like, and you haven't learned this stuff from your family yet, or other relatives, or other mentors in your life, a coach, a teacher, someone who teaches you, but like not at school, like again, sort of like a sports coach or someone like that, a music teacher, someone who can mentor you in a way. You don't know this stuff yet. And we have to spend time at the university level where, we're trying to develop the best physicists in the world. We're trying to develop the best musicians in the world. The smartest archaeologists and, people in history and like all this stuff. And we got to spend time training you on how to ask a girl out for a date. What are we spending our time on? And then you wonder why tuition is so expensive because you got to pay for nonsense like this. So the back half of this piece talks about parents a little bit and makes a valuable point here, which I wish parents had this perspective more often. Article says, too often parents focus on their child's happiness and performance, neither of which are long-term goals. Instead, this author who'd written this book about parenting urges parents to think about the kind of 35-year-old they hope their child will become, someone equipped with emotional resilience and coping skills, creativity, and the ability to collaborate. So that's really good advice. Parents, a lot of times you'll hear parents say, my kid can do anything they want. I just want them to be happy. It's like, well, I don't think happiness is the goal because your kid can end up being happy doing some things that are pretty terrible. So I don't think your kid being happy isn't the primary goal. Your goal as a parent should be to want to train your kids so that they are resilient and brave and responsible and reliable and hardworking and tough and generous and caring. That's what you're preparing. I want my kid when they're 35 to be that type of man, that type of woman. How you are when you're 8 or 18, I just want you to be happy. No, that's not good. And the same thing goes in the classroom. I just want my students to be happy. I just want them pleased with how their education is going. No, that's not what you do. That's at the college level especially. But I used to have this conversation with my elementary students. I had 12-year-olds in my class and I would tell them the same thing. Like, your happiness right now is not my concern. My concern is with the adult version of you. So I've had this, again, conversations with young kids and older kids, more commonly at the older level. So I'd have kids in my office who are complaining about a grade or they're confused by something in my class or having some problem at campus or whatever. And I give them the harsh truth because their feelings right now are not what I care about. I care about who they are 10 years from now. I tell them, I'm like, 20-year-old you, it doesn't interest me very much. I care about 30-year-old you. That's who we're preparing for. Because whatever this is that you're going through, it's going to pass. Like this isn't going to ruin your life. It's not going to change things. You're going to forget about it by next month. What we need to build here is an attitude and a perspective that will shape the man or woman you become when you're 30 or 50 or whatever. Because that's the most important person. Because that person's going to have some real responsibility. They're going to have a job. there's going to be people underneath them or people above them that they're going to have to deal with all the time. They're going to maybe have families. They're going to have kids relying on them, a spouse that, they got to work through the struggles of life with. That person needs to be tough and ready. And that's who I'm working on right now. Yeah, I know you're only 20 years old, but we need to work on 30-year-old you, because that's the most important version in the near future. And when you think that way, and when you teach that way, and when you parent that way, all the little trivial nonsense of life really fades away, because again, it just doesn't matter. You can kind of just, you'll get over it. But if all you're thinking about is happiness, well, then you're going to focus on every single little thing that goes on in that kid's life, because every little thing could make you unhappy. Again, a bad grade, the boy dumped you, you got hurt, your coach isn't playing you enough, you messed up in your piano recital. Like, everything is unhappy when you're a kid. So if all you're focused on is happiness, you're going to just create more stress for your life. What you got to do instead is you got to teach kids, either in the classroom and at home, about, like I said, those coping skills, that emotional resilience, because the stuff going on right now, who cares? It's not going to last. We need to prepare you so that you're a responsible, disciplined, good person when you're grown up. And the happiness stuff isn't useful. It's useful because it feels good to be happy, but like in the long term, it's not enough. It's not sufficient. And again, that's something that parents can do, but also teachers can do. So again, that was jumping around a lot. This article really tries to tackle all of young adulthood in one article. But yeah, the idea that we need to have classes on topics that we already tried to teach you and you didn't listen. And now you're complaining, well, gosh, I'm just so confused and I'm lost and I don't know what to do. It's like, yeah, I gave you the answers before and you didn't want them. So now I got to build a whole other class. We got to have a whole program at this university to reiterate the stuff that I tried to teach you 4 years ago, or that you should have learned the previous 13 years of your education, or you should have learned in your home. Like this, it's just such a waste of time. And we've got to have tougher kids. Otherwise, we're just going to keep spinning our wheels, because then we're going to do this and we're going to think, oh, this is the answer. And then in 3 years, kids are going to go, I don't care about any of this. I need a job. So give me the training for my job. And then we'll switch to that. It's like, yeah, the traditional way of doing things has been the right way. The teachers and administrators at these universities just haven't stuck to their guns enough, and are constantly like swaying in the wind with, we got to give kids what they want. Well, yeah, you're just going in circles. So this article made me angry when I read it. I'm angry again as I read it now. It's just so frustrating. These kids and these schools, it's wild. All right, so that was an article in the Deseret News a few days ago. Another thing I want to show you is this image that again was posted online. An administrator at a university posted it and basically had a little commentary about, I don't really know what the point was, but it seemed to be leaning towards, we have all these kids enrolling, but obviously they're dropping out, and some races are dropping out at a higher rate than others. Most of them, it's kind of consistent. It's between, like, I was looking at like 13 to 18% dropout rate across most of these ethnic groups, but looks like the black students are struggling the most. They drop out at the highest rate. And so this person posting it basically seemed to be implying, like, we need to be doing something to help these kids make it through. They need to stay and graduate. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, do you know the easiest way to get this to happen? I could get 100% of your students to graduate. 100%. Do you know how to do it? Right when they get there, right when you get their tuition payment, hand them their diploma and send them on their way. Stop having all the classes. Stop having it be 4 years. And we'll just say they graduated. Because after all, if that's what you want, if you just want the numbers to work out, that the number who enrolled is as close to the number who graduated as possible, that's all you have to do. Have it be, if you want to get a piece of paper with the name of this school printed on it right next to your name, it costs X number of dollars. You pay me that money, I'll hand you it, and we'll say that you graduated. Problem solved, right? So when people put up information like this and see if they can make a claim about, oh, we need to improve our retention rates and graduation rates and all this stuff, it's like, well, yeah, we do. That's probably a good thing, that if If students want to do that, then yeah, we should figure out ways to try to keep them in it, which most of us who are good teachers and good schools already do all that. But we also have to be very aware of Goodhart's law and Campbell's law, which, discuss when all you're doing is focusing on the result, it's very easy to game the system to achieve that result. And then what did you really accomplish? So we need to have some understanding of like basic economics here, of how this works. But also, and this is what I'll get to next week in my other video, some of this is we just have to be much more careful about who's trying to get a college degree. Because what's happening when you look at these at the breakdowns of these student groups, in this case racial groups, I'd be willing to bet that they are hearing from various people in their life. Maybe it was from their high school teachers, guidance counselors, people on television or online, politicians, whoever it is, their parents, saying, you have to have a college degree, because if you don't, you're going to be a failure in life. So you got to go to college. And as you can see, Asian folks tend to probably have that message drilled into them a little more strongly. Maybe that's why they're more successful, is because not the college thing, but because those families and those cultures have made education a key priority. It's a slightly different topic, but we can't ignore that part of the culture you grow up in is going to shape what your priorities are. But these people are hearing that you have to go to school. And then maybe what's happening is they get to school, they study for a semester or a year or 2 years, and then they drop out. And we all go, oh, isn't it terrible? All these kids are dropping out and they're not finishing their degree. It's like, well, for the 2% of those students where, yeah, they started school and then their mom died of cancer and their dad had a heart attack and is in the hospital, and so they have to leave school to go take care of their dying dad. Yeah, that's a very sad story, and those are going to always exist. And that's a legitimate reason to drop out of school. You have other things you need to take care of. That's certainly that's a reasonable thing to do. But that's not everybody. In fact, that's very small. I would say the other 98% of students who drop out of school do so because it's too expensive, which they knew it was expensive in the first place. So why did they go? I don't know. But also they probably thought that it was going to be worth it because that's what they thought everyone told them it would be. And they can get there and they go, yeah, either I don't like this. I didn't like high school. I didn't like studying. I don't like reading. I don't like doing research. I don't like writing. I don't like math. I don't like science. I don't want to have to sit here and listen to these lectures. I don't like this. Even though people told me I have to do it, I don't like it. I don't want to do this anymore. And they drop out. Or they take some classes, maybe get farther along, but then they go, you know what? Maybe I don't like it, but even more importantly than that, I don't think I need this. I don't think I'm really learning anything super valuable here. I think I'd rather just go start working and making money because I'm spending all this money in tuition and I don't really feel like I'm learning anything super valuable. So I don't think I need this anymore. Now they could be wrong and they just don't understand how valuable it is. That's certainly a possibility. But they also might be right that, yeah, maybe for that job you're going to go get, I don't need this. You'd be better off just going and starting at a low pay, getting some experience for 6 months, and then moving up in the company and learning along the way. After 2 years, you'll know everything you already need to know for that company, and you wouldn't have had to waste 4 years and $200,000 of tuition on it. You're now making money. You're farther ahead of the other students who went to school, and you already know the industry, or at least that company. Like, you're better off. And maybe that's what they start to realize after they've taken a couple classes. So we can't just look at this data and go, well, gosh, we have all these number of students that are enrolling, but look how not so many of them complete college. Look at the dropout rate and go, well, that needs to be fixed. We need more kids graduating. It's like, well, as I said, there's a way to fix that. Just give everybody a diploma, which is what a lot of schools are already doing. That's why employers constantly complain about students not being prepared because they're just handing out diplomas. Or we keep telling these students that they have to have it when they don't. And then the kids realize that they don't, or they don't want it, and they go on and do something else with their life. But that's besides 4 years of college. So we can't just look at data, assume one result is the most beneficial result, because it can lead to us manipulating how we get to that result. And it also completely ignores other factors in this case, young people, college students, decision making, that one, maybe they shouldn't enrolled in the first place. And two, once they were there, maybe they realized, yeah, I don't need this, and they can go do something else. And that's fine. That's totally fine. In fact, that's preferable. And I'm going to talk more about that next week, about how we need to shape education in a way where students are more clearly able to make these types of decisions. Because right now, when you go to college, even though people tell you what college is about, either you don't know what you want to do, and so you're kind of trying everything, which is fine, or you think you know what you want to do, and you don't quite know that there may have been another way to achieve that. Because again, college was the only thing that was told to you. And so we need to make it clear when we present higher education to people, we need to give a better depiction of what it is. And I'm going to talk about what it is next week, so that students can make a better decision, so that if they want to join, they are happy to do it, and they're more likely to stay and complete it. And then those that don't, they're not shamed by the culture for not wanting to go to college, because there are other ways to be successful in the working world or in your personal life or whatever that don't require college. And so I'm going to dive into more of that in what I think is my most important video that I've made on this topic of education. And that'll be next week. So please come back for that. So there's two pieces for you today. One, an article, one, some statistics that have been popping up online and how administrators are viewing them, which aren't always the best way, and aren't always the best people for interpreting this data. But I'm just very passionate about education, especially at the highest levels, because we need smart people, we need hardworking, disciplined people, and college is one way to find those people and to develop them, but it's not the only way. And so we need to explore some of those other options. And I look forward to talking about that more next time. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Keep following what I produce here on English Champion. There's all sorts of fun stuff every week. But please join me next week for that big topic on higher education. See you then.